for those of us who work in cities, and we've spoken a lot today about agriculture, and behind that is the implicit statement that Africa is rural. Well, let me tell you people, Africa ain't. She's the fastest urbanizing continent in the world. By 2030, the bulk of people in Africa are going to be living in cities. So the people who need the agriculture are going to be urban. So understanding Africa's cities, and Africa's cities are very different to cities around the world because of their high level of informality, is very important. But to understand a city is probably humanity's most complex and greatest invention. You cannot do that remotely. You have got to climb into the belly of the beast. And that's a dirty, messy place, because cities are where economics hits social needs, hits politics, and all of that's driven by a relationship with global planetary systems. You cannot study that remotely. Cities now control consumption and production. They control and impact on the planetary systems. There is no greater opportunity we have than taking control of the world's cities and turning them into a force for sustainable development. And what is the real world in local government in South Africa at the moment? And I would imagine this applies to local government throughout the continent. We're poorly skilled. We're poorly resourced. We're under enormous political pressure. Under those kinds of scenarios, you cannot expect policymakers to take on board climate change and say, fabulous, we're going to run off and have this wonderful adaptation plan. There's no room for it in our agenda. Many local government officials do not believe climate change exists, do not believe that everyone out there believes that climate change is real. They simply do not. So within that reality, we had to realign our expectations. Okay, throw away this integrated approach, it clearly doesn't work. Talk to the reality. We turned around and we adopted a sectoral approach. We went into 3 pilot sectors: water, health, and disaster management. We worked within the context of the work they were doing, the resources they had available, the skills they had available, in order to produce adaptation plans so they could lock in quite easily into the work that we were doing. That was much more successful. And the irony of that is, by adopting that sectoral approach, we've eventually forced integration, because as they developed a deeper knowledge of what they need to do, they'd begun networking informally. So that was an interesting turnaround. Finally, we've done a lot of cross-cutting information. The reason that Durban is so well known internationally is we're not scared to talk about our failures, and we talk about them openly, because we believe often success is not your best learning path. Often running up against the wall and making a mistake teaches you more than success. And we've shared that globally through the international literature. We've also used our knowledge to input into the international climate change negotiations through the National Delegation of South Africa. And I was involved in the 5th assessment report of the IPCC as a lead author, working group 2, the first adaptation chapter for cities in that space.